Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Baddies USA review, so let's just get right into what happened in this episode. So at the very beginning of this episode, Natalie ends up getting all the baddies to meet with her before they have rehearsals for their next performances, and Natalie immediately starts going off on Summer as soon as Summer walks in, because obviously in last week's episode, all the baddies knew that Natalie was going to a funeral and she wasn't really in the mood to be bothered. That's why she wasn't on set with them, and Rollie was the one that was supposed to be taking over. But Summer ended up getting drunk that night and she ended up calling Natalie, which all the baddies were telling her it was not a good idea and to leave Natalie alone. But Summer was too drunk to understand, so she called her anyway, complaining that she was told she couldn't perform because she got booed, but Big Lex is being allowed to perform even though she was booed as well. And look, I completely understand why Natalie is mad at Summer, because Summer had no business calling her up drunk. And honestly, I don't think that if Summer was sober, she would have called Natalie at all. I don't think it's right to bother somebody with nonsense when you know that they just got back from a funeral. But I definitely do think that Natalie should have had that energy with Summer over the phone when Summer FaceTimed her in the first place. I think the time to go off on Summer was when she actually called. But I do agree that it was inappropriate for Summer to call Natalie in the first place about that nonsense, especially because she knows that Natalie just left a funeral. I think there's a time and place for everything, and I think this little meeting that Natalie put together would have been the time for Summer to address her concerns rather than doing it when she was drunk, knowing that, Natalie was in the middle of grieving. And I don't care what anybody says, Summer was acting like a hater, because I think the only reason why she made not being able to perform a big deal is because Big Lex was told that she could still perform even though she got booed. I think if it was any other girl that got booed on that stage that they told could still perform, Summer wouldn't have cared about it. And to me, that's really phony, because I do understand where Summer's coming from. If you're saying that all the girls that got booed can't perform, then that means all the girls, including Big Lex, that got booed cannot perform. However, if Summer and Lex were still friends at this time, Summer wouldn't have cared about Big Lex still being able to perform. So to me, she was doing it because she was being a hater. Now, before they end up concluding the house meeting, Natalie decides to tell Summer that she needs to get it together because the next city they're going to is Detroit, and obviously that's Summer City, and I do feel like Summer should be able to perform in her own city. I just think it makes sense. But what I didn't think made sense was that Natalie only took some of the girls to the rehearsals, and I think all of the girls should have been there, because even if those girls weren't performing in Chicago, they were still going to have to perform in the next city, so I think it would have made sense to have them all there because they could have learned how to do better the next time. Anna was right, though. The girls that got booed didn't necessarily get booed because their songs were trash. I mean, some of their songs are not good, but not all the girls that got booed was because of their songs. They got booed because the fans just don't like them, which I don't agree with. If you're going to boo some of the girls that are there, there's no point in even showing up to the event. That's just my opinion. I thought it was rude. But later on that day, Dolly, Lex, Nunu, Killa, and Fauna were all outside having a conversation, and Nunu was trying to talk things out with Killa because she doesn't think that their beef needs to continue. And honestly, I think their beef needs to end too, because honestly, it's boring to me. Neither one of them really do anything in the fights that they have with each other, and they're beefing over somebody else. So to me, their beef is boring anyway. And then Summer is outside talking to Tavii, Anna, and Biggie, and she's telling them that even though she was told she can't perform because she got booed, she's still performing anyway and doesn't care if she has to break the rules, which I wouldn't be surprised if she did run out there and perform even if they told her not to, because Summer is reckless like that, especially if she drinks. What surprised me during this conversation, though, was that Mariah actually gave Summer her props. She told her that even though they don't get along with each other, she doesn't think that Summer's song is bad, and she does feel like Summer deserves to be on the show because she is a baddie. And look, I respect that about Mariah Lynn, because even if you don't like somebody, that doesn't mean you have to try to put them down. I do think that Summer is a baddie, and I do think that she brings entertainment for the show, but she also doesn't know when to turn it on and off, and she does entirely too much to the point where people don't want to work with her because she's way too reckless. You have to know that there's a time and a place, and for me, Summer doesn't know her place. So Scotty, Summer, Tavii, Fauna, Killa, and Gretchen were all having a conversation, and Fauna and Killa start updating Scotty on their beef that they have with Nunu, because obviously Scotty was not there. She was in Italy with Jayla and Lemmy, so they start telling her about their issues with Nunu, and while they're having this conversation, Nunu ends up walking in, and Scotty tells Nunu that they were just talking about her, which was messy. She's obviously being messy because she can't really be involved in anything because she's pregnant. So as soon as she tells Nunu that they were just talking about her, then Tavii and Nunu start going back and forth with each other. And they're sitting there arguing with each other about this stupid Sprinter situation that happened between the two of them episodes ago that nobody even really remembers what they were arguing about. And during this argument between Tavii and Nunu, Tavii starts telling Nunu not to address anything with Killa and Fauna anymore and to leave her bitches alone. And it's like, since when are Killa and Fauna your bitches? I mean, wasn't Tavii just yelling at Fauna a few episodes ago, telling her not to involve herself in any more of her beefs? But now she's inserting herself in a beef that Killa and Fauna have with Nunu. It doesn't make any sense. Tavii's too wishy-washy for me. She's too much of a flip-flopper. I saw that about her last season. That's why I didn't understand why a lot of the girls didn't like Russian Cream, but they liked Tavii, because what she was saying about Tavii wasn't wrong. Tavii is a flip-flopper. She goes wherever the wind blows. And K-Rican and Killa already said that they never liked Tavii. They always thought that she was a flip-flopper. They just gave her a chance because of Fauna. They basically tolerated her because Fauna liked her. And look, to me, that makes the two of them phony too, because just because their friend likes somebody doesn't mean they had to pretend to like her too. They could have left her in the dust and let Fauna deal with her, and they didn't have to deal with her either. So to me, that makes them phony too. But I just feel like it's crazy that Tavii's even trying to call them her bitches when they really don't like her. Now, Nunu and Tavii end up fighting 2 rounds, and honestly, neither one of them really did anything in either round, but if I had to pick a winner, I guess I'll give it to Tavii just to be fair, but to me, neither one of them really did anything. The fight was pointless, and it was boring. And I'm trying to figure out why Tavii has this energy for Nunu and why she's fighting Nunu when she should be trying to get her lick back on Lex, because Lex whooped her a couple of episodes ago. Now it's time for the girls to do their little concert, and Natalie gets on stage to do her performance, but DJ Sky is not there, so Natalie's sitting there looking around trying to figure out where DJ Sky is. And DJ Sky shows up late with a liquor bottle in her hand, and Bobby gets on the microphone and he starts tearing her to pieces. He starts telling her that she was late and that she's about to get fired and be replaced. And DJ Sky gets in her confessional and she says that she showed up at the time that she was told to show up at. Now, I don't know if she's telling the truth, because that would be crazy if Zeus Production told her to show up late to a concert that she's supposed to be on time for. Honestly, she was supposed to be there before Natalie and the rest of the girls got there. So I don't know if she's telling the truth about that, but if she is telling the truth about that, they need to get way more organized. Now, I guess Natalie decided to allow the girls that got booed to still perform, because she said that some of the baddies were saying that the girls should get another chance. So she lets them get up there and get on stage, even though she doesn't feel like it's a good look. And honestly, I don't feel like it's a good look for the girls who got booed to be on stage either, because I don't know, it just really is uncomfortable to watch them get on stage trying to perform and they're getting booed, because you can definitely see their confidence levels go down. But Gretchen gets on stage and she gets booed in Chicago, and you can tell that it really does affect her, because she gets backstage and she starts talking about how they keep booing her, and it's like, damn, maybe she shouldn't have let them perform. But then Summer is told that she gets to go on stage and perform, and she gets really happy because she was making a big fuss about not being able to perform, even though Lex was still able to. And so she gets on stage and the fans boo her again. Obviously, it wasn't as loud as they booed her the last time she performed. Some of the people were in the crowd dancing to her song, but a lot of people were still booing her. And I think Summer needs some work. I mean, I don't feel like her song is bad. It's not something I would listen to, but it's not a horrible song. I just feel like she needs work on her stage presence. So I definitely feel like even though certain girls weren't supposed to perform, that's the reason why Natalie should have made all of them go to rehearsal. Big Lex gets on stage and she does her performance, and this time I did not hear her get booed. Even when she was on stage performing and they cut to the backstage part where Gretchen was getting her neck situated, you could hear her performing and you couldn't hear anybody booing her. So I don't think she got booed this time, unless somebody has video who was in the crowd and says she got booed. Now, Tinka goes on stage and the fans seem to like her, but why was she on stage taking jabs at Dolly? It just didn't make any sense to me. Like, why talk about Dolly when you're on stage when you're supposed to be making the moment about yourself? She made the moment about Dolly. And look, the fans were saying F Dolly, but Dolly's actually benefiting off of them booing her, because her song went viral and it's doing numbers, and then she made another song using the sound of the fans booing her in the song. So, I mean, Dolly's doing her thing right now, so hating on her really didn't do anything but prop her up more. She's one of the girls that got booed and didn't care that she got booed, because when they were swearing at her, she was dancing and it seemed to be hyping her up even more. Now, Mariah gets on stage to perform her song, and the fans seem to like her, but DJ Sky messed up her song. She played the wrong song at first, and then she stopped the music and didn't play Mariah's song the rest of the way, and Mariah had to perform without the music in the background, so Mariah was obviously really pissed off about it. Now, DJ Sky claims that the label was not on her song, and that's the reason why she messed up, but she always has an excuse excuse of why she's messing stuff up. I don't know if she's really messing it up because she doesn't know what she's doing, or she's messing it up because production is purposely sabotaging her. I really don't know what's going on with DJ Sky. Now, after everybody finishes their performances, Rollie bought a cake for the girls backstage, and they're all back there eating it, and Rollie says that she's pissed off because when they were on stage celebrating everybody doing their performances, Tommie was drunk and really hyped up, and she grabbed her from behind and accidentally popped her in the nose, and she said that her nose was hurting her, and she was trying to tell Tommie to get off her, and Tommie started grabbing her tighter. She was basically saying that Tommie was too drunk, and that's the reason why she wasn't listening to her. And look, I understand why Rollie was upset getting popped in the nose like that, even if it was an accident. When it comes to Tommie, I would be upset too if somebody accidentally popped me in my face. I wouldn't hit her because I know she didn't really mean it. She was just trying to grab her from behind, but I can understand Rollie's frustrations with it. Now, the next day, the baddies all get on the Baddies bus together because they're heading to Detroit, Summer City, and Mariah Lynn is venting her frustrations with DJ Sky on the bus to everybody because she feels like DJ Sky is always messing up. This is not her first time messing up somebody's song, and when they get on stage, they're embarrassed because the fans are staring at them and they don't have any music playing in the background. And Tasiki kind of seconds what, Mariah Lynn was saying. Obviously, they're friends with each other, but this is not the first time that DJ Sky has messed up somebody's song. So Mariah Lynn is saying that she's going to advocate for DJ Sky to get replaced. Now, I do feel bad because I know DJ Sky really wants to be a part of the show and they're trying to replace her, but she can't mess up people's songs continuously and then expect them to want her to stay. But all of a sudden, Tinka and Summer end up walking on the bus, and Dolly just takes off on Tinka, and the two of them start fighting. I mean, they're rolling around the floor and everything. And listen, it went by so quickly, I can't tell who was winning this fight. We'll have to wait until next week's episode. But I thought it was crazy how fast that happened. Like, did they start fighting because Tinka was taking shots at Dolly on stage the previous night? Like, I don't know why they were fighting, but it was crazy. And in the next episode, Dolly is on 10. Like, Dolly is fighting everybody next episode. I'm definitely interested to see that because I do like Dolly. I don't agree with everything she does, but I do like her. And so I'm interested to see what happens in next week's episode because this episode was kind of lackluster. Like, it wasn't boring to me. I don't feel like they need to fight every single episode. I just felt like they dragged a lot of stuff on in this episode. So this is my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies USA. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.